Alright students, so far we have studied about reflection of light. Now let us study about refraction of light. Okay, refraction, 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 which is different from reflection. Now what is the difference between reflection and refraction? Reflection takes place from a surface and it takes place within the same medium, but refraction takes place in different media. Media is plural of medium. Now, what is meaning of media? You see, if you take a transparent media, that means if you take air, glass, or water. See, air, glass, water, they are called transparent media. Transparent media. They are called transparent media because light can pass through them. If you take a glass of water, okay, light can easily pass through it. And if for example, if I take a glass of water, okay, this glass contains water up till here, let us suppose. Now if I put a pencil here, okay, then from this point onward the pencil will look bent. That means at this point, you see, at this particular point there is what is called bending of the pencil. The pencil appears to be bending. This bending of light at the separation of the media, this is water and this is air. Water and air, two different media. The light which enters from air into water appears to bend at the surface of the water. That means this is called the plane which separates air and water. At this point the light appears to bend, and this bending of light is called refraction. So refraction is an optical phenomena. What kind of an optical phenomena? Optical phenomena because it involves light. The bending of light when light travels from one transparent medium to another transparent medium, that phenomenon is called refraction of light. Refraction of light can take place when light travels from air to glass, or from glass to air, from air to water, or back from water to air, or from water to glass. Anyway, all of them, okay, a bottle of water, turpentine, a bottle of petrol, okay, anything like that, that is transparent medium. Light can pass through water, so water is also a transparent medium. Dirty water is not so transparent, but clean water is very transparent. So today we are going to discuss about refraction of light. Now the first thing that we will discuss about refraction of light is what happens when refraction takes place. Why does this bending of light takes place? You see, basically light consists of 7 different colors. Okay, 7 different colors, 7 colors of light. Each color of light has got what is called a frequency and wavelength. Frequency and wavelength. Okay, now the speed of light is a constant. The speed of light is represented by the symbol c, and it is 3 into 10 to power 8 meters per second. 3 into 10 to power 8 meters per second. Okay, this is the velocity or the speed of light in vacuum, in space, in vacuum or in space. Now when light travels through air, it slows down a little, but not much. It slows down very little. So the speed of light in vacuum and the speed of light in air, for all intents and purposes, it is considered as the same. Okay, 3 into 10 to power 8 meters per second. But the moment light enters glass or water, it slows down even further. And therefore, because it slows down, it bends slightly. For example, see, this is the surface of water. Okay, this is the surface of water. When light enters this from air, light is entering water. Now actually it should be, this is the right angle, normal. This is called n dash is the normal. Light should continue in the same path, in this direction. Okay, it should continue in this direction, but it does not go in that direction. It bends slightly towards the normal, because water is denser. Water is denser than air. Air is rarer, R-A-R-E-R. Okay, so air is a rarer medium, water is a denser medium. Bending of light takes place towards the normal, not away from the normal, towards the normal. This bending of light Okay, this bending of light is called refraction, and it takes place because the velocity of light changes in water. It slows down in water. The same thing happens when it passes through glass. If I take a strip of glass like this, okay, a strip of glass, this is your glass, okay, and this is air. Now the ray of light enters like this from here. This is called the incident ray. This point is called the point of incidence. Now this is the normal, right angles, okay, at right angles here. And the ray of light should continue to travel like this, but it does not. It bends towards the normal. It bends slightly. This bending of light is because light, when it enters the glass, its speed slows down a little bit, and because of slowing down of speed, it actually bends towards the normal. The opposite thing happens on the other side. You see, when glass, when air, when the light comes out from the glass and into air, it comes out into air, then this ray of light, it will again bend, but this time it will bend away from the normal, because air is rarer than glass, and therefore these two rays of light will become parallel. In fact, this is called a glass slab experiment, and the glass slab experiment is given in your textbook. It is extremely important, and therefore I am going to discuss this in detail. Now let us see what this glass slab experiment is. You see, take, suppose this table is your drawing board, okay, and this white sheet of paper I put with the help of pins, I stick them out on the board, drawing board. Now take a glass slab. Suppose this is your glass slab. I put it on that this way, and then draw an outline of the glass slab. So let us suppose this is the outline of the glass slab. Okay, this is the outline of the glass slab. Let us suppose this is your glass slab, A, B, C, D. Okay, it doesn't matter where you put the letters A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D is your glass slab. Now, a ray of light is incident on it. Let us suppose here, you see the ray of light is incident here at point O. This is your ray of light. Okay, but let us put a pin out here. Let us put two pins, pin E and pin F. Okay, E and F are two pins. Okay, now at this point, this is called the point of this point is point of, let us call it point O. This point O is the point of incidence, and the normal at the point of incidence is at right angles. So you see, this is at right angles. This is normal at the point of incidence. Now the ray of light should actually continue to travel like this. It should go in the same straight line, but it does not go. Okay, it bends away from the normal. Actually, it should go in the same straight line. It should come out like this. See, this is how it should come out from the glass slab if it continues in its original path, but it does not continue in the original path. This is N dash. This is the normal, and this angle between the incident ray and the normal, this is your normal, okay, and this is your incident ray. This is incident ray, okay. This is the point of incidence. Now this angle is the angle of, this angle is called the angle of incidence. It is between the incident ray and the normal. This angle is called the angle of refraction because it has entered glass now. Okay, this is air, which is a rarer medium, and this is glass, which is a denser medium, and then again this is air. Okay, so from air, incident ray of light is entering glass and then leaving. But at this point, you see, it begins to bend a little. It bends towards the normal. So it bends towards the normal and comes and hits here, the glass. This point is point O dash. From here, again, it bends away from the normal. You see, the normal will be here like this. This is your normal. At this point, let us call this as M dash. This is also normal. At this normal, this is your normal again. At this point, point of refraction, this is point of incidence. Now it becomes again, you see, it becomes parallel. So it becomes parallel to the original incident ray, and it comes out as a parallel ray like this. It comes out like this once again. Okay, so from here it enters the glass, it bends towards the normal, then bends away from the normal, and this distance, you see the distance which is original ray and the refracted ray, this distance, you see, you can see here, this distance, this one is called, this distance is called lateral shift. It's there in the textbook when you read it. This distance between the the ray of light which emerges. This ray is called the emergent ray. This ray of light is called the emergent ray of light. Okay, this is the incident ray. This ray of light is called the refracted ray. Refracted ray. So you got three rays: incident ray, refracted ray, and emergent ray. This is the angle of incidence, this is angle of refraction, this again here is the angle of refraction, and this angle is called the angle of emergence or angle of incidence. All the four angles, you see, angle I will be equal to angle R, will be equal to angle R, and will be equal to angle E. Sometimes this angle E can also be called as angle I because it is the same, okay, angle of incidence. So all the four angles will be equal, and that is why these two rays of light, this one and this one, are parallel to each other. When the ray of light emerges, okay, when the ray of light emerges, it is parallel to the incident ray. And this distance between the apparent ray of light, it should have gone in this direction, but it has gone in this direction. And this distance is called lateral shift. Now, this is called the glass slab experiment. This glass slab experiment is extremely important from the point of view of examination. It has been asked before and can be asked again. So learn this up thoroughly. Okay, I have explained to you. You should be able to draw it like this and then write one paragraph about it. Once again, to explain to you, see, what is the purpose behind the glass slab experiment? The purpose is to show how refraction of light takes place. Okay, so for that we take a drawing board, attach a white sheet of paper on it with the help of pins, drawing board pins. Then take a glass slab, put it in the center and draw the outline ABCD of the glass slab. After that, lift the glass slab and put it aside. Okay, now you got your ABCD. Now you want to draw incident ray, refracted ray and emergent ray. So what you do is you put the glass slab here. From this side, put two pins, E and F. Here I got two pins, E and F. Okay, and then from this side, the opposite side, look at the image of E, F and F. So suppose this is the image of E, let us call it G, and this is the image of F, let us call it H. So G and H are images of E and F, but on this side. So draw, now lift the glass slab and put it aside. Take a pencil and scale and draw the rays of light. Okay, and this dotted line showing which way it would have gone if no refraction had taken place. And this distance indicates lateral shift. Now why does this happen? Because when the ray of light enters from air into glass, glass is a denser medium compared to air. Therefore, the ray of light slows down. Its speed decreases. Because its speed decreases, it bends towards the normal. Okay, and when it reaches point O dash, then it comes back into air from glass. But air is a rarer medium. So therefore, the speed of light again increases slightly, and therefore the ray of light bends away from the normal. So this is what is called the glass slab experiment. It is extremely important. Make sure you study this thoroughly. You can use this once again. Okay. Now I want to come to another section, and that part is about spherical lenses. You see, we have studied about spherical lens. Okay. You have studied about spherical mirrors. There are two types of spherical mirrors, convex mirror and concave mirror. We are not discussing plane mirrors here. In the same way, there are two types of lenses. One is called the concave lens, and the other one is called the convex lens. Just like concave lens and concave mirrors, there's concave lens and concave and convex lens. We have got concave mirror, convex mirror. In the same way, concave lens and convex lens. Okay, the shape of a concave lens is like this. Its shape is like this. Okay, this is the shape. And the shape of a convex lens is like this. This is the shape. Okay, but how do you get these shapes? Okay, how are these? They are called spherical mirrors because the sides are spherical and they are made from a sphere. You see, for example, let us just see how to see this. Watch carefully how. Suppose this is your principal axis. Okay, now if I draw a lens like this way. Okay, now this is a convex lens. But how did I get it? By putting a rounder here. This is actually a part of a circle like this. This is part of a circle, and this is also part of a circle. See, so there are two spheres. two spheres are there. Okay, one sphere on this side, and you can see here you will get your lens here in between. Okay, this is the lens in between. This is your convex lens. Convex lens, but it is made from two spheres, one sphere on this side, the other sphere on this side. Okay, so obviously it has got one center of curvature here and another center of curvature here. Okay, this is your first center of curvature, this one and this one. This is your C1, this is your C2, because it is made from two spheres. In case of a mirror, it was made only from one sphere, so it had only one center of curvature. But a lens is a spherical lens. It is made from two spheres. One surface is made from this side, the other surface is made from this side, and therefore there are two centers of curvature. And in the same way, there are two foci. You see the word is focus singular and foci is plural. So there are two foci. This is your f1 and this is your f2. Okay, c1 can also be called 2f1. C2 can also be called 2f2 because it is twice the focal length. So you got 2f1, f1, 2f2, f2, 2f1 and 2f1 can be called as C1, 2f2 can be called as C2. Okay, this is your principal axis. And if I draw a line in between, okay, this way, this part here, this is actually the pole or center or the vertex of the lens. Now, in the same way, a concave lens. How is a concave lens formed? In the same way, this is suppose a principal axis. One sphere is like this, okay, and the other sphere is like this way, okay, and from this you get your concave lens. This is your concave lens, this way, okay. But once again, it has to have two centers. So this is your C1 and this is your C2, okay, and therefore this is your F1 and this is your F2, okay. And the central part is the vertex or pole. And obviously C1 can also be called twice F1, C2 can also be called twice F2. So once again, spherical lenses are just like spherical mirrors. Okay, we've got two types of spherical lenses. One is a concave lens, the other is a convex lens. A concave lens is often called a diverging lens. We'll come to that afterwards. Diverging lens, and a convex lens is often called it is almost called converging lens. Why is it called a converging lens? I will just come to that. Because it converges light, okay, makes it meet at a point. Diverging lens because the light begins to diverge away from each other, and that's why it's called a diverging lens. We'll come to that later on, but right now just understand this much. There are two types of spherical lenses. One is a concave lens, the other is a convex lens. A concave lens is often called a diverging lens because it diverges light. Convex lens is called a converging lens because it converges light. Why are they called spherical lenses? Because they are made from spheres. Both the surfaces are curved. Okay. Remember, in a mirror only one surface is curved. See, when we had a concave mirror, okay, only one surface was curved. In the case of a mirror, only one surface, because it is made from one sphere, a concave mirror or a convex mirror. But in case of a lens, it is made from two spheres. So both the surfaces are curved. Since both the surfaces are curved, we got two spheres. And since we have got two spheres, we have got two centers of curvature, C1 and C2, F1 and F2. C1 can be called twice the focal length, okay, 2F1. C2 can be called twice the focal length, 2F2. It is the same like the mirror, but this line is called the principal axis. The center is called the center of this point O is called the center of the lens or the pole of the lens, and it is also called the vertex. In the same way, a concave mirror, it is also made from two spheres, two glass spheres. Okay, and you can see the shape is like this, and therefore the centers are like this: C1 and C2, F1 and F2, twice F1, twice F2. All right, now let us understand a converging lens, convex lens. First of all, what happens and how you see images formed by a convex lens. Images formed by a convex lens. Okay, image is formed by a convex lens. You see, for this, let us understand the first position. When the object is placed at infinity, when the object is placed at infinity, Okay, what happens there? Now you'll know why it is called a converging lens. Let us draw the principal axis first. Okay, this is suppose your principal axis. Okay, and let us make the lens. This is your lens. Of course, you will require a rounder to draw this. Okay, now once you've drawn the lens, remember this on equal distance on both the sides, equal distance, you can actually use a this way. Okay, suppose this is your pole. Okay, and this equal distance should be here. Okay, this is suppose f1, and this distance here is f2. This is c1, and this distance is say c2. Okay, c1 is also called twice f1. This is also called twice f2. All right, now your principal axis is ready. Now let us suppose that from a distant star, light is coming from infinity. Light is coming from infinity, and these rays of light actually hit the mirror, they hit the lens, and after reflection they pass through the focus this way. Okay, they pass through f this way, and the rays of light meet at the focus. Since they meet at the focus, image is formed here. These are the parallel rays of light. These are parallel rays of light. After reflection, they meet at f2 on the other side. Therefore, what kind of image? Image is real. A real image is always inverted. So, inverted, real, inverted, and diminished, very small. It is diminished. Real, inverted, and diminished. It is almost point-like. Point-like. Okay. And where is it formed? It is formed at the focus. It is formed at f1, that is focus. It is formed at the focus on the other side. It is formed on the other side of the lens. This is the same side as the object. This is the other side. Now again, supposing you want to see how images are formed, let us suppose now at the center of curvature or beyond the center of curvature, beyond C. Beyond C means beyond the center of curvature. Once again, you see, let's draw the principal axis. Okay, now let's make the lens also. To make the lens, you see, I'm going to draw a line first like this. Okay, I don't want the lens to be very big. I'm going to draw this and then draw the lens this way. But you must use a rounder, please. Okay, I've got your lens now here. Then at equal distance, let us call this as f1 and this as 2f2, 2f1, sorry. And the same way here, let's call this as f2 and this as 2f2. Okay, now the object is placed here. I am placing the object here, AB. AB is the object, AB. Alright, now one ray of light goes straight and parallel to the principal axis this way. It goes parallel to principal axis. From there, it is diverged. It is converged. You see, it comes downwards. It is converged. That's why it is called a converging lens. Okay, it is converged, and it passes through F2 on this side. Okay, this is a ray of light parallel. It comes out through F2. Okay, the other ray of light, it passes through this vertex O. It passes through vertex O and comes out on the other side this way. All right, and image is formed here. You can see the image now formed out here, and this image is upside down. This is A dash B dash. Okay, you can see it is smaller. It is formed on the other side. It is inverted, so it is real. So image is real, inverted, and diminished. It is smaller. Okay, it is not magnified. It is diminished. NISHED. It is diminished. It is smaller. Also, the image is, you can see, real, inverted, and diminished. But where is it formed? It is formed between F1, rather F2 and 2F2. Between 2F2 and F2. Okay. That means center of curvature and the focus, but on the other side, on the other side. Okay, this way. So you can see image formation is quite easy. It's not so difficult at all. Now let us take another way. Okay, uh, third position. What happens when object is placed at C? The object is placed at C. Okay, here in this case the object is going to be placed at C. So again I'm going to draw the principal axis first. Alright, this is your principal axis. I'm going to draw the lens, the central part of the lens. Okay, this is your lens. Just make sure you use a rounder. If you use a rounder, you will not have a problem. Okay, then this is your pole, equal distance f1 to f1. If your measurements are equal, you won't have a problem. Okay, and I'm not taking exact measurements. Okay, you should take exact measurements when you draw. You can use a scale to make equal measurements. Now I'm placing it exactly at 2f2. The object is at 2f2. Okay, that means it is at the center of curvature, at the center of curvature. Now one ray of light will move parallel to the principal axis, and then it will come out on the other side through f2, this way. You see, one ray of light, you can see one ray of light is parallel to principal axis and it comes out from the other side. Okay, this way. Now the other ray of light, again it passes through the vertex, that is the center of the lens, and comes out to the other side. Okay, you can see here now, and you can see it is formed exactly, it will be formed at f2. Okay, it will be formed at f2 here. This will be a dash, b dash. If your measurements are accurate, it will be formed exactly on top of 2f2, that is on the center of curvature. Here it is placed on the center of curvature. The image is also on the center of curvature. It is of the same size. So image is real and inverted. Real and inverted. Okay, real and inverted. Also, it is of the same size. It is of the same size. Where is it formed? It is formed at C2, that is 2f2. It is formed exactly here at 2f2. So you can see once again, this is the third type. Now if I place it between 2f1 and f1, okay, between the center of curvature and the focus. So between center of curvature and the focus, principal focus. If I keep it there, what happens now? Let us see once again. Okay, now again we draw the lens. Okay, the straight line in the lens here. This is center. Take equal distances from there. This is your f1. Equal distances to f2 or c. On this side also equal distances. Just make sure it is equal. Okay, and 2f2. Now your principal axis is ready. Now it is between C and F. So this is C and this is F. So if I keep the object out here, okay, AB is the object. I kept it here. One ray of light will be parallel to the principal axis as usual. Okay, from there it passes to F2. So let us see, it passes through F2. Here it has passed through F2, and the other ray of light passes exactly through the center of the lens. And it is formed here. You can see the image is formed here. Now the object is smaller, but the image is bigger. It is enlarged. Okay, this is your A dash, B dash, and it is formed beyond the center of curvature. So you can see now, image, of course, is real and inverted. Real and inverted. Real and inverted, and magnified. It is larger than the object, so it is magnified. Real, inverted, and magnified. And where is it formed? It is formed beyond the center of curvature, that is beyond 2f2. Okay, on the other side, on the other side. Now you can see these images, they are very easy to understand. Okay, all you need to do is make sure that the measurements are okay. The distance between OF1 OF2 should be equal. The distance between O2F1 and O2F2 should be equal. This distance is, make sure you measure with a scale. Use a rounder to draw the lens and you will find it a lot easier. Okay, now just two more of this type. Okay, let us see the fifth one. When the object is placed, now here we have placed it exactly between 2f2 and f1. Supposing we place it at f1. Okay, at the focus we place it at f1, then what happens? You see, once again we go about doing the same thing. We create first the position of the lens. Okay, principal axis, always use a pencil so you can rub it out if it becomes too big. All right, now make your lens here. Okay, equal distances, this is f1, equal distances to f1, that is center of curvature, f2 and 2f2. Okay, these distances must be equal. I can mention it again and again. Now the object is placed at f1. Let us place the object at f1, that is at the focus. One ray of light, as usual, will be parallel to the principal axis, and after refraction, not reflection, after refraction, it will pass through the focus on the other side. It passes through f2. Okay, it has passed through f2. Now the other ray of light passes through the center of the lens and it becomes almost parallel. They don't meet, they become parallel. That means it will be formed at infinity. So the image is real and inverted. Real image is always inverted and magnified. It will be very large and magnified. That means it will be large. Okay, but it will be formed where? It will be formed at infinity. It is formed at infinity. Okay, it is formed at infinity because the rays of light become parallel. So you can see this is the fifth position. Now let us see the sixth and final position. When it is placed between the pole, that is the vertex, and f1. When the object is placed between the pole, that is the center of the lens, pole and focus of the lens. Okay, it is placed between these two. Now what happens again? Again we go through the same process. Okay, we make the principal axis. This is your principal axis. Okay, somewhere in the center, with the help of a rounder, just make a proper lens. Okay, this is your lens. I'm sure these are called ray diagrams. Okay, and equal distances again, f1 to f1. Here also f2 and 2f2. These distances, with the help of a small scale, your small plastic scale, make sure the distances are equal. The lens, you use a rounder. Okay, once you have done this, now the object is placed here between f and o. Okay, the pole. Once you do this, and the ray of light comes this way. This is your A, this is your B. The ray of light is parallel and it passes through the focus. After refraction, it passes through the focus. Okay, it has passed through the focus here, the ray of light. And the second one, again, it passes through the center and goes this way. Now they don't meet, but if you extend them backwards, you see, if I extend it backward this way, okay, this way, if I extend it backward, similarly if I extend this one also backwards, see, I've extended backwards and the image is formed here. It is formed this on the same side and it is enlarged, so it is erect. So the virtual image is formed. The image is virtual, erect. Okay, it is not inverted. Virtual image is always erect. Real image is inverted. Image is virtual, erect and magnified. It is large. And where is it formed? It is formed on the same side, not on the opposite side. It is formed on the same side. It is formed on the same side. Same side of the lens where the imaging object was there, it is formed on the same side. Now you can see I don't want to go further today because the video will get too long. These are, we talked about refraction of light through a glass slab, the glass slab experiment, which is extremely important. Go through it carefully. And the image is formed, the different types of lenses, spherical lens, okay, concave and convex lens, and these are convex lenses. We have done the 6 different positions of images formed by a convex lens. Tomorrow I will do one more video about concave lenses. Okay, then I will also explain to you how numericals can be solved. In physics, numericals are extremely important. All right, so enough for today. Just make sure that you go through this very carefully, okay, so that you understand it better. If you have any questions, please do ask me.